You think Karens are bad? Wait until you meet the HOA Karens of America, the women who treat neighborhood bylaws like the Ten Commandments. These are the people who fine you for having a garden gnome, send official letters about your grass being too green, and threaten to sue because your kid's sidewalk chalk hurt their property values. Get ready for the 49 wildest, pettiest, most unhinged HOA Karens who prove that power plus pettiness is the deadliest combo. 1. The Karen who actually fined her neighbors $200 because their lawn was too green. Yes, you heard that right. She claimed their lush grass was blinding in the sunlight and clashed with the neighborhood's natural aesthetic. The family thought it was a prank until a formal HOA violation letter arrived in the mailbox with photos attached as evidence. Imagine paying money because you watered your lawn too well. This HOA Karen turned a perfectly kept yard into a crime scene, making suburban paradise feel more like a dictatorship where beauty itself was outlawed. 2. The HOA Karen who banned kids from using sidewalk chalk because it was graffiti. Picture it. Innocent children drawing rainbows and hopscotch squares, only for her to storm out of her house, snapping photos as if documenting a robbery. She filed a formal complaint, claiming chalk drawings lowered property values and even compared them to gang tagging. The parents laughed at first, but the laughter stopped when they received an official letter threatening fines. Childhood joy was crushed under the weight of her whistle and clipboard, proving that some Karens would rather kill fun than mow their own lawn. 3. The Karen who filed a complaint because her neighbor's front door was painted yellow. Not neon yellow, not a shocking shade, just a cheerful pastel yellow that brightened the street. But for this self-appointed color police, that door was a violation of everything she stood for. She demanded it be repainted to an approved neutral because yellow was too loud. The best part? Her own yard had a massive pink flamingo decoration that could be seen from 2 blocks away. After months of HOA threats, the family gave in and painted over their sunny door with depressing beige. 4. The Karen who reported her neighbors for hanging Christmas lights too early. She claimed that putting up decorations before December ruined the uniform holiday aesthetic of the neighborhood. The family had strung up a few twinkling lights in mid-November to cheer up their kids, only to get a violation notice demanding they take them down. She even patrolled at night, snapping photos like she was running a holiday police squad. When other neighbors joined in with their own lights in solidarity, she threatened to fine the entire block, turning Christmas cheer into a suburban showdown. 5. The HOA Karen who measured her neighbor's trash can placement with a ruler. She insisted that cans had to be exactly 3 feet from the curb. Not 2 feet, not 4 feet. Every trash day, she walked around with a tape measure and clipboard, documenting violations like a city inspector. One family got fined because their trash can was tilted slightly. She even called a special HOA meeting to declare that trash alignment was the key to property values. Imagine living in fear of a tilted garbage bin. That's HOA dictatorship at its finest. 6. The Karen who declared bird feeders illegal because they attracted wildlife. Yes, she argued that squirrels, sparrows, and even butterflies were a threat to the neighborhood's order. When one elderly man refused to take down his feeder, she personally climbed onto his porch and removed it. He caught the whole thing on his doorbell camera, and the footage went viral. Instead of protecting property values, she became the laughingstock of the internet, forever remembered as the woman who declared war on birds. 7. The HOA Karen who lost her mind over a kid's lemonade stand. A sweet 7-year-old set up a table with hand-drawn signs, selling cups for 50 cents. Within 20 minutes, Karen stormed over with her HOA badge like it was the FBI, shouting that it was an unauthorized business that violated HOA bylaws. She actually called the police on a child selling lemonade. The cops showed up, laughed, and bought lemonade from the kid instead, while Karen stood fuming. That day, the whole block cheered for the little entrepreneur and booed the HOA queen. 8. The Karen who demanded that all garages stay closed at all times because open garages look sloppy. Families who kept their doors open while gardening or working on cars got instant violation letters. One man had his garage open for 20 minutes while carrying groceries, and she snapped photos and mailed him a $100 fine. Neighbors soon started pranking her by leaving their garages slightly cracked on purpose, turning the rule into a community-wide joke. Her obsession with garage doors ended with her looking like the punchline of her own HOA circus. 9. The HOA Karen who tried to ban backyard barbecues. Her excuse? The smell of grilled food invaded her personal space and violated air quality standards. One summer, she went on a rampage, walking around with an air freshener can and spraying at her neighbors' yards while they grilled. She even called the fire department to report smoke violations, only for firefighters to laugh and join the cookout. That BBQ turned into the biggest neighborhood party ever, with everyone united against the one woman who tried to criminalize hamburgers. 10. The Karen who waged war against lawn ornaments. She filed complaints against wind chimes, gnomes, and even an American flag garden stake. Her most famous battle? A neighbor's tasteful fountain shaped like a small angel. She claimed it lowered property values and was religiously offensive. The family refused to remove it, so she tried sneaking into their yard at night with a tarp to cover it. Caught red-handed on a security camera, she was humiliated at the next HOA meeting, where neighbors brought toy gnomes just to spite her. 11. The HOA Karen who demanded that all mailboxes be the exact same shade of brown. One family repainted theirs a deep cherry wood color that actually looked nicer, but she went ballistic. She claimed the shade was rebellious and destroyed neighborhood harmony. She even marched down the street with a color swatch card, comparing every single mailbox. When the family refused to repaint, she taped a giant violation sign across their box for everyone to see. Ironically, neighbors liked the cherry wood better, and soon half the block copied it, leaving Karen defeated by her own obsession. 12. The Karen who tried to outlaw basketball hoops in driveways. She said the sound of bouncing balls damaged her peace and made the neighborhood feel like a cheap playground. One dad refused to take his kid's hoop down, so she dragged the entire HOA into it, sending out notices like it was a national emergency. Kids rallied together, bringing hoops into multiple driveways until the street looked like an NBA training camp. Parents cheered, kids played, and Karen hid inside, fuming at the sound of basketballs echoing down her perfect suburban nightmare. 13. The HOA Karen who claimed the wind chimes were a sonic disturbance. A retired couple hung a small bamboo chime on their porch, and within 24 hours, she delivered a letter saying it violated sound restrictions. She compared the gentle chime to construction noise, calling it intolerable. When the couple ignored her, she marched over and cut the string herself. The neighbors retaliated by hanging dozens of wind chimes from their porches, filling the air with a symphony of jingles that followed Karen wherever she went. It turned into the loudest HOA protest in history. 14. The Karen who waged war against an inflatable pool. A family bought a small above-ground pool for their kids one summer, and Karen declared it illegal water storage. She said it threatened property values and attracted mosquitoes. She even showed up with a ruler, measuring its dimensions like she was OSHA. When the family didn't remove it, she called the county health department, who laughed and dismissed her. In response, the neighborhood threw a giant block pool party, filling their driveways with kiddie pools, water balloons, and sprinklers, all just to spite her. 15. The HOA Karen who hated American flags. She argued that flags made the neighborhood look political and demanded they be taken down. When one veteran refused, she tried fining him for unsanctioned fabric displays. That veteran showed up to the next HOA meeting with 50 small flags and planted them on every inch of his lawn. Neighbors followed suit, and soon the entire street was lined with stars and stripes. Karen had to walk through a patriotic parade every time she left her driveway, humiliated and ignored. She became the only person in town mad at Independence Day. 16. The HOA Karen who outlawed kids' bicycles on sidewalks. She argued that bikes were dangerous projectiles and that tire marks ruined the concrete's visual harmony. Parents laughed until fines started arriving for kids riding to school. One mom caught Karen hiding in bushes with a camera, filming children on their bikes like it was a police sting. Instead of backing down, families organized a bike parade down the street, with dozens of kids riding decorated bikes, honking horns and cheering. Karen watched helplessly as her sidewalk became a celebration of everything she hated. 17. The Karen who tried to ban Halloween decorations. She claimed skeletons, cobwebs, and pumpkins were demonic influences and damaged property values. One family ignored her and put up an inflatable ghost. The next day, Karen sent them a letter demanding it be removed or face fines. When they refused, she called the police, who laughed and left. In response, the whole block decorated bigger and scarier, with giant skeletons, fog machines, and flashing lights. Instead of winning, she turned Halloween into the neighborhood's biggest party, with her house the only one left dark and decoration-free. 18. The HOA Karen who hated car colors. A neighbor bought a bright red sports car, and she lost her mind. She claimed that bold car colors clashed with the neighborhood's calming aesthetic. She tried to push through a rule requiring all cars to be white, silver, or black. Neighbors mocked her by parking rental cars in neon shades, green, pink, purple, up and down the street. The red sports car became a neighborhood icon, with people taking photos in front of it just to annoy her. Her war on colors ended in total humiliation. 19. The Karen who fined people for leaving garden hoses outside. She argued that hoses ruined curb appeal and looked messy. One family forgot to roll theirs up one afternoon, and by evening they had a violation letter on their door. Karen even patrolled with binoculars, spotting hoses from down the block. Fed up, neighbors started leaving hoses out on purpose, coiled into shapes like smiley faces, hearts, and even spelling "Hi Karen" on lawns. Her rule turned into a running joke, and her fury only made the prank more hilarious. 20. The HOA Karen who hated children playing tag. She insisted that running kids made the neighborhood feel chaotic and lowered property values. She yelled at kids mid-game and even wrote violation notices addressed to parents for unsanctioned recreation. One day, the kids organized Tag Day, where dozens ran through the cul-de-sac, laughing and tagging each other while parents clapped. Karen stood on her porch, red-faced, yelling like a referee no one respected. The kids crowned her the ultimate tagger and pretended to chase her, turning her tantrum into the best game of all. 21. The Karen who demanded that neighbors keep their blinds shut at all times because open blinds looked tacky. She patrolled at night, pointing at lit windows where curtains were open, insisting it ruined the uniform look of the street. One family left their blinds open just to spite her, even placing a mannequin in the window waving at her. Other neighbors joined in with funny displays, holiday lights, cardboard cutouts, and giant smiley faces. Soon the street became a comedy show of window art, and Karen was the only one living in darkness. 22. The HOA Karen who despised backyard trampolines. She called them visual pollution and claimed they were dangerous for the entire neighborhood. When a family bought one, she mailed them a fine and said they'd ruin the skyline. The kids loved it so much that parents pitched in to buy trampolines for 3 more houses. Soon the sound of bouncing laughter echoed across the block. Karen tried filing complaints with the city, but instead of support, she got nicknamed the anti-fun police. The kids even invited her to bounce once, but she stormed away, furious. 23. The Karen who declared war on driveways. A teenager had friends over, and a few cars parked across his family's driveway. Karen ran outside snapping photos, claiming that too many cars violated HOA limits. She printed the photos and mailed them to the HOA like she was cracking a major crime. The next weekend, the entire neighborhood threw a driveway party, filling their driveways with cars, food tables, and lawn chairs. Karen tried shouting over the music, but was drowned out by laughter and karaoke echoing down the street. 24. The HOA Karen who banned bird baths. She insisted they were pest attractors and filed complaints about mosquitoes that didn't even exist. One neighbor, a retired teacher, had a decorative stone bird bath with little sparrows visiting daily. Karen trespassed at night to try and knock it over, but got caught by a motion sensor light. The family reported her to the HOA board, and instead of disciplining the bird bath owner, they reprimanded Karen. The neighbor doubled down, adding 2 more bird baths and posting photos online of Karen's failed mission. 25. The Karen who hated welcome mats. She claimed that doormats with words like "home sweet home" or "welcome" were clutter and not HOA approved. One family received a violation letter after putting out a mat that said, "Good vibes only." Neighbors found out and decided to fight back with creativity. Within a week, every house had ridiculous mats reading things like, "Hi Karen, rule breaker lives here, and this house not HOA approved." The street turned into a comedy walkway of doormats, with Karen powerless to stop it. 26. The HOA Karen who banned porch swings. She argued that swings looked too rustic and lowered the neighborhood's modern image. One family had a small wooden swing where grandparents loved to sit in the evenings. Karen complained nonstop, eventually mailing them a violation notice calling it unsanctioned furniture. Instead of removing it, the neighbors added flowers and fairy lights, making it even more beautiful. Other families followed by hanging porch swings of their own. Within weeks, the whole street looked like a southern postcard, and Karen was stuck fuming every evening as laughter and rocking chairs filled the air. 27. The Karen who demanded every driveway be pressure washed monthly. She claimed that even the smallest oil stain or dirt mark brought down property values. She went around snapping photos of tiny stains, mailing them to the HOA like criminal evidence. One man got fined because a leaf had left a wet mark after rain. Eventually, the neighbors banded together and hosted a dirty driveway contest, giving trophies for the messiest, funniest, and most stained driveways. Karen showed up to protest but ended up the star of every joke, standing in front of a painted driveway that said, "Karen rules." 28. The HOA Karen who banned lawn chairs. She said outdoor seating made the neighborhood look cheap and unprofessional. When one family set up a pair of folding chairs under a tree, she sent them a $100 fine. Annoyed, neighbors began placing chairs of all kinds, rocking chairs, recliners, beanbags, in their front yards. One even dragged out a full living room set just to mock her. The street turned into a surreal furniture showroom, and Karen was left powerless, angrily stomping past sofas and coffee tables that popped up on lawns overnight. 29. The Karen who hated backyard chickens. A family kept 3 hens for eggs, and she treated it like a biohazard. She complained about farm smells and claimed chickens were a threat to health. She filed complaint after complaint until finally sneaking onto their property to take photos of the hens. Unfortunately for her, the family's rooster chased her straight out of the yard, and the doorbell camera caught every second. The video went viral, with the internet dubbing her Karen versus Rooster. Instead of the chickens being removed, neighbors started buying chicken decor to mock her obsession. 30. The HOA Karen who declared war on Christmas inflatables. A family put a 10-foot snowman in their yard, and she demanded its removal, calling it seasonal clutter. She patrolled daily, snapping pictures and mailing threats. But when the family refused, other neighbors joined in, adding Santas, reindeer, and giant penguins until the entire street looked like a holiday carnival. Cars drove from other neighborhoods just to see the spectacle. Karen called it an inflatable invasion. But by then, she was just another tourist attraction in the very display she hated most. 31. The Karen who fined people for planting sunflowers. She argued that tall flowers blocked uniform views and made the street look rural. A woman planted them in honor of her late mother, only to get slapped with a violation notice. Furious, neighbors turned it into a protest garden, planting hundreds of sunflowers up and down the block. The street became so beautiful that local news featured it, calling it Sunflower Lane. Karen became a meme for being the only person in America angry about flowers, her scowling face forever linked to a field of gold. 32. The HOA Karen who hated Christmas carolers. A group of kids sang Jingle Bells on a snowy evening, and Karen ran outside yelling, "This is noise pollution." She actually wrote a violation letter calling singing a disruption to peace. When neighbors heard, they organized a massive caroling event, with dozens of families showing up to sing loudly in front of her house. She shouted over the music, but people just sang louder. Videos of the spectacle went viral, with captions like Karen versus Christmas spirit. The carolers won, and Karen became the Grinch who couldn't steal joy. 33. The Karen who declared lawn games illegal. Cornhole, badminton, frisbees, all banned by her crusade against unauthorized recreation. One summer, a group of teens set up a volleyball net, and she stormed over threatening fines. Neighbors snapped, organizing the first ever Karen Games, a fake Olympics with competitions in cornhole, hopscotch, and frisbee golf. They even awarded gold medals, cheering loudly. Karen tried to shut it down but was booed off the street, immortalized as the villain of the funniest HOA sporting event in history. 34. The HOA Karen who banned Christmas wreaths. She insisted they were offensive symbols and claimed they cheapened the neighborhood. When one elderly couple refused to remove theirs, she ripped it off the door herself. But the couple's security camera caught the whole thing, and the footage spread like wildfire online. Neighbors responded by hanging oversized wreaths everywhere, on cars, fences, even mailboxes. The block looked like a Hallmark movie, while Karen was forever remembered as the woman who stole Christmas wreaths. 35. The Karen who declared garage sales illegal. She said they turned the street into a flea market and lowered property values. When one family tried to sell old toys, she called code enforcement, insisting they shut it down. Instead, the officer bought something from the sale and left. The next weekend, neighbors organized a mega yard sale, with every driveway turned into a shop. Karen stormed through yelling about trash, but left empty-handed, the only one who didn't find a bargain in the best HOA garage sale ever. 36. The HOA Karen who outlawed holiday yard signs. A family put up a cheerful, Happy Easter sign with pastel colors and bunnies. Within hours, Karen slapped a violation notice on their door, claiming it was seasonal advertising. She argued that even small signs disrupted visual consistency. Furious, neighbors retaliated by putting up signs for everything. Happy Tuesday, congrats on walking the dog, even Karen, please relax. Soon the street was filled with goofy signs, turning the block into a comedy gallery. Karen had to walk past sarcastic greetings every day, powerless to erase the laughter. 37. The Karen who tried to ban Christmas cookies from being handed out. She insisted homemade cookies were unsanitary and threatened property values. A grandmother gave sugar cookies to her neighbor's kids, and Karen sent a formal complaint, calling it unlicensed food distribution. The absurdity reached its peak when she tried to confiscate a plate of cookies from a child's hands. In response, the neighbors baked hundreds of cookies, passing them around like a festival. The HOA meeting that month was flooded with baked goods, and Karen sat scowling as her neighbors dunked cookies in milk around her. 38. The HOA Karen who hated hammocks. She called them lazy furniture and claimed they ruined the view of neat yards. A college student strung a hammock between two trees, enjoying an afternoon nap. Karen stormed over, demanding it be removed, then filed a violation letter calling it unprofessional yard decor. Instead of complying, neighbors started hanging hammocks everywhere, on trees, porches, and even between mailboxes. One family created a hammock village in their yard. By the end of the week, Karen was surrounded by the very thing she hated most: people relaxing. 39. The Karen who despised garage art. A teenager painted a mural of a mountain landscape on his garage door for an art project. Karen called it graffiti and demanded it be repainted beige immediately. The family refused, and the mural gained attention for its beauty. To push back, other neighbors commissioned murals: flowers, sunsets, patriotic themes. Soon the block was filled with colorful garage art, turning the neighborhood into a mural street. The city even praised it as public art. Karen became infamous as the woman who tried to kill creativity with beige paint. 40. The HOA Karen who banned front yard gardens. A woman planted tomatoes, basil, and peppers in raised beds by her porch, and Karen claimed it was farming that devalued homes. She called the vegetables unsightly and mailed a fine. But when the family ignored her, neighbors expanded the garden into a full community project, planting herbs and veggies in their own yards. The street began sharing food harvests, turning it into a friendly farmer's market. Karen, of course, complained about produce pollution, but nobody listened as the smell of fresh tomatoes replaced her bitter words. 41. The Karen who declared fairy lights illegal. A family strung twinkling lights on their backyard fence for summer evenings. Karen spotted them and claimed they were light pollution. She sent a letter insisting they be removed because they attracted bugs. The family doubled down, adding even more lights. Soon, every yard on the block was glowing with fairy lights, lanterns, and string bulbs. The neighborhood looked like a festival at night, while Karen's house sat in complete darkness. Her attempt to erase joy only made the block brighter, literally and figuratively. 42. The HOA Karen who banned front yard birdhouses. She claimed birdhouses made the street look messy and attracted uncontrolled wildlife. When a retired veteran built a small handmade birdhouse for his granddaughter, Karen stormed over with a letter calling it visual pollution. Instead of removing it, neighbors built dozens of birdhouses in every style imaginable: castles, lighthouses, even a mini White House. The block soon looked like an art fair. Karen was left powerless as sparrows, cardinals, and blue jays turned the neighborhood into a cheerful aviary that everyone loved, except her. 43. The Karen who despised welcome banners. A family hung a tasteful "Happy Birthday" banner on their porch for their daughter's party. Karen took photos and mailed a violation notice claiming banners were tacky and distracting. The party went on anyway, and neighbors rallied by hanging their own silly banners: "Happy on birthday," "Congrats on breathing," and "Karen go home." Soon the street was covered in banners waving proudly. Karen's attempt to kill joy only created the funniest block-wide celebration in HOA history, where even the mailman laughed as he walked past sarcastic greetings every day. 44. The HOA Karen who hated backyard fire pits. She insisted they were safety hazards and that smoke ruined her fresh laundry. One autumn evening, a family lit a small fire pit for s'mores, and she rushed over with a spray bottle of water, threatening to extinguish the violation. When they refused, she filed endless complaints. Neighbors fought back by hosting a massive block bonfire night, complete with marshmallows, guitars, and lawn chairs. The street smelled like toasted sugar, and Karen's protests were drowned out by laughter and music. She became the only person in town against s'mores. 45. The Karen who banned Halloween pumpkins. She argued that pumpkins rot and attract pests, so she declared them illegal. One family carved jack-o'-lanterns anyway, only to wake up to a violation notice taped on the pumpkins themselves. Furious neighbors filled their porches with dozens of pumpkins, turning the block into a glowing orange festival. Kids carved silly faces, parents stacked giant pumpkin towers, and one family even spelled out HIKAREN with pumpkins. Instead of stopping the fun, Karen's rule made the neighborhood famous for having the best Halloween display in the county. 46. The HOA Karen who tried to ban laundry lines. A woman strung up clothes in her backyard on a sunny day, and Karen screamed that drying laundry is for poor people. She mailed a letter demanding the line be removed, claiming it ruined neighborhood prestige. Outraged, families set up clotheslines in their yards with colorful shirts flapping proudly. Some even hung superhero costumes, wedding dresses, and neon underwear to make her angrier. The street became a festival of laundry art, with neighbors laughing at her snobbery while enjoying the fresh scent of sun-dried clothes. 47. The Karen who declared war on holiday blow molds. A neighbor put out vintage, light-up Santas and snowmen, and she called them cheap plastic clutter. She mailed a violation demanding they be trashed immediately. Instead, neighbors went wild on eBay and bought every blow mold they could find: elves, reindeer, angels, even flamingos. By December, the block looked like a glowing plastic wonderland. Cars lined up to see it, and local news covered the display. Karen was forced to drive past a carnival of glowing figures every night, the Grinch outshined by her own pettiness. 48. The HOA Karen who outlawed kids' treehouses. A father built a small wooden treehouse for his children, and Karen called it an unauthorized structure. She demanded it be torn down immediately. The kids cried, but instead of giving up, neighbors built their own treehouses, pirate ships, castles, and forts, until the whole neighborhood looked like a children's adventure park. The laughter and joy of kids echoing from treetops was too powerful to silence. Karen complained endlessly, but her letters were ignored as families built higher and brighter, her fury dwarfed by childhood imagination. 49. The Karen who banned snowmen. During a snowy winter, kids rolled up snow and built cheerful snowmen in their yards. Karen stomped outside, yelling that snowmen were unsightly, and filed violation letters demanding they be destroyed. Instead of caving, neighbors built an army of snowmen. Dozens of them lined the street, some wearing sunglasses, some holding signs saying "Free the Snowmen." The block turned into a winter wonderland. Karen stood screaming at piles of snow, while neighbors sipped hot cocoa and laughed. She became a local legend, forever known as the woman who tried to cancel snow. And there you have it, 49 of the wildest HOA Karens who turned neighborhoods into their own personal kingdoms of madness. From banning bird baths to outlawing snowmen, these stories prove that power and pettiness are a dangerous mix. Which one made your jaw drop the most? Drop the number in the comments and let's see which Karen truly takes the crown for the craziest of them all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who survived their own HOA horror story, because trust me, you are not alone.